You ever have one of those days where the world just decides it's going to test every ounce of patience you got? That was me right there on the edge of my own damn lake when a woman with a clipboard and an attitude thought a phone call to the cops was enough to steal my land, my family's land, mind you, out from under me like I was some squatter she could scare off. You know the type. Acting like she owns the whole neighborhood, but all she really owns is a fancy car and a little HOA badge she probably polishes more than her soul. Anyway, she strutted onto my property talking fast about some developer's dream, waving that offer in my face like 50 grand was supposed to make me forget 3 generations of blood and sweat. I told her flat out, no sale, not now, not ever. That's when the real circus started. She called the cops thinking they'd scare me more than her stiletto heels tearing up my muddy yard. Now, before I get ahead of myself, let me back up a sec. Georgia's sun's beating down. I'm out back working on an oak chest, sweat rolling off my brow. Life simple as can be, just me. My tools and a disability check from Uncle Sam that mostly keeps the lights on. My cabin's nothing fancy, but it sits right on the lake. And let me tell you, the way that water glitters in the afternoon, it's like God's apology for everything else in life. Been a Harrison on this land since my granddad bought it back when folks still trusted each other's word. So when Patricia Whitmore rolled up in her BMW dressed like she was heading to a board meeting in Manhattan, I already knew this wasn't going to be about a bake sale. She tried the nice approach at first, smiling, calling me Mr. Harrison, talking about some great opportunity for me. She offered $50,000 cash, immediate sale paperwork ready. But if you know anything about property on a lake these days, you know that number's a joke, couldn't even buy a good boat for what she was offering. I put my tools down, looked her square in the eye, and told her this land's not for sale, not for any price. That's when the mask slipped. You could see it something cold behind her eyes, like a snake, just before it strikes. She went from neighborly to straight up threatening in about 5 seconds, hinting about zoning violations, code enforcement, environmental inspections, the whole playbook of people who think rules only matter when they're using them to get their way. But here's the thing, I've seen worse, much worse, and from people who didn't bother pretending they cared. I told her my paperwork was in order, invited her to take a look if she wanted my way of saying I'm not hiding a damn thing. But she wouldn't let up. She started talking about ways to make people comply and how my cabin didn't fit the community's vision. I almost laughed. Her vision didn't mean a thing to the fish, the herons, or the trees. Just then, Mrs. Henderson next door leaned over her fence, Dolores 72, and sharp as a tack, unofficial mayor of the block. She grinned and called out, "Looks like we're about to see a show which only made Patricia madder." Next thing I know, Patricia's on the phone, dialing the police and ranting about how I'm some dangerous threat to the community. You ever notice how people with power love to play victim when it suits them? Yeah, that happened. 15 minutes later, sirens come howling up my driveway like I just robbed a bank. Out stepped 2 officers, Brooks, who looked like he'd rather be fishing, and Martinez, young and eager, probably hoping this was his big day. Patricia went full drama queen, telling them how I threatened her, refused to follow HOA rules, probably ran a crime ring out of my shed. I almost felt sorry for her. She was working so hard at her story. Brooks was cool, asked to look around, said it was routine. I shrugged, handed him the keys, pointed him to the paperwork by the door. My cabin's nothing if not tidy. Military habits die hard. They went through everything, found nothing wrong. My permits were in order, hunting rifles, locked up business license posted right on the fridge. You could see Patricia fuming, trying to convince them to dig deeper. She even demanded they search me for weapons or drugs. Brooks asked if I'd mind a pat-down just to put everyone at ease. I figured why not? Might as well show them what kind of danger I really am. That's when things got interesting. I lifted my shirt, showed the tattoo on my shoulder, a mark that, let's just say, means more to a few people than to most. Brooks saw it and froze. His face went pale. Even Patricia shut up for a second, confusion painted all over her face. Brooks took me aside, called me Tank, a name I hadn't heard since my last deployment. "What are you doing here?" he asked, low and tight. I just shrugged. Trying to live quiet, Riley, that's all. He got the message. But before we could talk more, Patricia came back with reinforcements. Councilman Derek Stone, the sort of guy who shakes hands with himself in the mirror. He waved some emergency ordinance paperwork in my face, said I had 48 hours to comply or lose my land. I glanced at the documents and started spotting fakes, immediately wrong, seal outdated signatures. Mrs. Henderson, bless her heart, called out, "Didn't the Johnsons get the same thing before they vanished?" And suddenly Brooks was all ears. Turns out the Johnsons left a forwarding address to a vacant lot and nobody'd seen them since. You ever get the sense you've wandered into a movie and you're the only one who doesn't have a script? Yeah, that was me. Right then, a new sound drifted over the lake. Heavy equipment working late, running so loud you'd think they were trying to bury something more than pipes. Brooks looked worried, asked Patricia about the construction. She spun some story about exclusive villas and underground utilities, but I was watching the dirt get loaded into sealed containers. My gut told me this wasn't just about houses. Back home that night, my phone lit up with fake criminal charges plastered across the internet. Pictures, mugshots, the whole 9 yards. Someone with serious skills was trying to burn my reputation to the ground. But see, I got some skills of my own. An hour on my laptop and I'd trace the attack back to a cyber ring with ties to Eastern Europe. Not HOA level stuff. This was organized crime, maybe more. I reached out to an old contact, Sophia Martinez, used to run with me in places most people wouldn't survive a day. Her reply came fast. Stay low. Federal eyes on you already. Threat level unknown. Turns out the HOA president was on a watch list and my little property dispute was exactly the crack the feds needed. Next day before dawn, heavy equipment's rolling up on my land. Patricia's there, but the guy with her ex-military Russian moving like a wolf among sheep. That's when it hit me. She wasn't who she said she was. The real name was Petra Kaslov. And in my old life, she'd been the one my team failed to take down years ago, a ghost presumed dead. Everything snapped into focus, missing families, fake documents, secret tunnels under the lake. This wasn't about real estate. It was a staging ground for something big, something dangerous. I called Sophia. Petra Kaslov is alive. She's here. She's building something. Sophia's voice was pure steel. We're moving now, but you're on your own till we get there. Can you hold out? All I could do was laugh. Wouldn't be the first time. By the time Petra's crew moved in, guns, tactical gear, masks, I was ready. They thought they were hunting a broken-down vet. What they got was a nightmare with my boots on. The first team hit my booby-trapped yard garden gnomes packed with thermite trenches dug years back, every approach covered. Petra shouted orders, voice icy and ruthless, but chaos was spreading faster than her control. Brooks pulled up with local backup, took one look at the war zone, and started calling for every federal unit he could get. Mrs. Henderson, never one to miss a moment, was live streaming the whole thing. Marcus is putting on a show, she crowed. If you've never heard a 72-year-old woman narrate a shootout, you're missing out. But Petra wasn't done. She tried to flank, yelling my old call sign, "Ghost, come out and face me." She wanted payback for Montenegro, for her son, for everything. I stepped out. This ends now, Petra. No more running. Helicopters thundered in. Sophia herself jumped out, federal team in tow. Petra tried to run for the tunnels, but every exit was blocked, every plan she'd built falling apart. She finally surrendered, spitting threats, swearing she wasn't alone, that others would carry on her work. But you could see in her eyes she knew it was over. Sophia counted 17 arrests across 6 states that day. Petra's network fell like dominoes, and I finally let myself believe the fight was finished. 6 months later, I rebuilt my workshop, oak chests, polished scars fading a little. Mrs. Henderson's an internet star now, in Lake Vista's the safest it's ever been. Me, I sit by the water, building something real with my hands, letting the ghosts settle for a change. So here's my question for you. What would you do if the system tried to take what you love? Stand tall or back down? Tell me your "don't mess with me" story down in the comments, because every underdog deserves their win. Smash that like if you've ever stood up to a bully, and don't forget to subscribe. Next time the HOA comes knocking, remember, sometimes the quietest guy in the room is the last one you want to mess with.